Good. Oh, now we're live. Oh, good evening, Nigeria. Good evening. Good evening.
Good
Good
evening
evening,
to
Nigerians.
everyone.
Yeah, welcome to the first in the series of conversations around school security and safety in Nigeria. In this series, we shall be looking at the role of the government, the role of the school-based management committee, and the community, as well as the role of the youth and social media in addressing these menace that have come to stay in Nigeria. With over 300 school kidnappings recorded since 2024, school security has become one of the most urgent topics in Nigeria's education sector. This section breaks down the roles and responsibility of the three key actors, the government, the school, and the community, to look at where exactly do we lay the blame. The studio will play for us a short clip, and then we will now have. Before we do that, let me introduce my guest this evening. I have Brother Wisdom, Nicholas. It's good to have you here. And
Nice to be
then we
here.
have Brother Louis Apoveso. It's
Thank you
good
so
to have
much,
you
sir,
here.
for the opportunity. It's nice to be here as well.
This conversation should be gender balanced so that we can have some. We're expecting some other persons to join us so that we can
Sure.
have gender balance. So, studio, if you are ready, please play for us the documentary on school security.
FR. I am the principal of Community High School, Esiele, in Orire local government of Oyo State. On Friday around 9:30, we were attacked by a certain group of people, and a good number of us were abducted, the staff and the students as well. And we have been here Friday. I am making this video to ask for help from everyone, starting from the federal government of Nigeria and Oyo State government, Engineer Seyi Makinde, the Christian Association of Nigeria, and all well-meaning Nigerians, that they should come to our help and settle this thing peacefully so that our lives will not be lost. Thank you very much.
Thank you, studio. There we have an appeal from the headmistress of the school that was recently attacked by the bandits, appealing to the government and well-meaning Nigerians and to the religious community. Wisdom, what do you say to that appeal that she's making, please?
So it's an honest appeal, right? So I'm not clear if she was she among people that were adopted, or she wasn't. She's among people that were adopted.
She's
So
making
it's
the video from captivity.
from captivity. So it's an honest appeal. But when you watch videos like this, you listen to what is not being said, right? So because obviously she has been told what to say by her captors, and they are urging her to make an appeal that they should resolve it amicably, which means they are looking for a payout, and somebody has to be paid. So she's urging the government to please do the needful so that her captors can be paid, right? Because at the end of the day, the people that went into the business went in to make profits, so they are looking to cash out as soon as possible. And
Uh,
they
Wisdom, they went into business to come and cash and kill people.
the angle of the business now is now to be questioned, but at the end of the day, there's their angle to them, right? And yeah, but I feel like we've set a very bad precedent when it comes to cases of kidnapping and a lot of these things, that people now see it, or some state actors see it as an enrichment scheme that, oh, if I do kidnap people, I can make money out of it. There was a time that most of the movies we watched, and the American policy in quote will always say that we don't negotiate with terrorists, we don't negotiate with all of these things. It is very difficult for us to have a policy like that in Nigeria, because we've sort of encouraged it. Even if you hear people, oh, once they are kidnapped, they just want to raise the money quickly and get their loved ones and family back. So it's now a business model that's proving to
Okay.
work.
Louis, what do you have to say to that conversation, that information that the principal just gave to Nigerians, and then let that also be your opening statement in this conversation this week?
Sir, it's quite unfortunate that these are the things that we are speaking about. And it's unfortunate because everybody has access to social media. We can see what is going on in other places. We can see people sending their children to the moon using 5D or whatever D technology. We can see children, starting farm from the age of 5, learning instruments, doing gymnastics, building cars, and we're talking about some of our children that even managed to go to school. The school that they went to, they've been kidnapped. Apart from the video that was shared, I'm sure your team has access to other videos that may not be okay for public viewing, but I was unfortunate to watch the gory video of the beheading of the gentleman that was also taken with them. And it's different from when they show it in film. It's a troubling sight. I can say that for free. It is most unfortunate that this is happening. It's unfortunate if it happens at all. But now it has happened to children, and children, they're like blank canvases. You are going to imprint this thing on them, and they are going to grow up with a certain perception, and you will never be able to change it because it happened to them. So it's so unfortunate that I don't know whether to cry or to laugh, or is quite unfortunate. The
Okay,
video.
this evening we are going to be making attempt to discuss solution, because we are focused on school. By the way, this program is sponsored by ACSITE, Alliance of School Societies for Sustainable, Inclusive, and Transformative Education. And so we are focused on getting children back to school. And now the school we are focused on getting them back to has become a trap. And so we are worried. ACSITE is indeed very worried. And this is going to be a 6-part program where we shall be looking at the solutions to this kidnapping, in particular in schools. And that's why we are looking at the 4 main actors in the school: the government, vis-a-vis the local government, the state government, and the federal government. We shall be looking at the school-based management committee. These are the eyes of the government. Every school has an SBMC that collects money from government and has the responsibility to keep an eye on the welfare of the school and of the children in the school. And then we're going to be looking at the community, because every school is in a community, and therefore every school has a community. And then inside that community, we have men, we have women, and we have youth. And in the class of youth, we have people who can deploy technology. And I'm just wondering, and as the conversation progresses, why is it like this? Why is none of these stakeholders doing something to stop our children being kidnapped? In the past 14 years, over 300 incidences of school kidnapping has taken place. This is not good. And so I have with me Mr. Nicholas Wisdom and then Mr. Louis Apoveso to be speaking to what should the government be doing? What should the SBMC be doing? What should the community be doing to nip this issue, this menace of kidnapping in the bud. We're expecting some other persons to join this conversation from the SBMC community and then from the government community, as well as the communities wherein the states, wherein the schools are situated. So, Mr. Wisdom, tell me your take. What do you think? Where do we lay the blame? Let's first look at the blame before we look at the solution. Where do we lay the blame? The government, the school, SBMC, the community, or the youths, the lazy Nigerian youths that have refused to shout out?
I think we all collectively share the blame collectively, right? Because it is easy for us to quickly point fingers at the government and say, oh, the government have failed us, the government has done this because they have all the resources, they have all the manpower, but the government can't be everywhere. So then you now go to the communities. Oh, the communities, what did they do? And were they proactive? Then we have the SBMC. What are they, like you rightly said, they've been collecting money. Have they been doing their due diligence? Have they been carrying out the checks they are supposed to carry to ensure that the students are well taken care of, right? So everybody on the food chain shares the blame, right? Because the major problem we have as a country, right, I don't even think it's lack of personnel or lack of equipment. Well, maybe equipment, but it's centered mostly around communication. We find it difficult to effectively communicate up the chain of command. So, like I was saying earlier before we went on live, if a if someone this strange comes into an environment, we don't even know because we don't practice or we don't live as a community anymore. Where if a new person comes into this neighborhood, we can say, "Oh, this person hasn't been here before." We don't know. So it's difficult for even us to have intelligence reports to say, "Oh, we've experienced suspicious activities." People move around in troves, unidentified, unmanned. We don't even know who they are. And I think that is one of the major challenges we have within security is the fact that we cannot properly identify who and who doesn't belong here, except you stay in certain gated communities, right? That, oh, before you have access to it, who are you going to see? Can you call the person and all of that? But in most of the communities, I know that part of the framework that was set up post Chibok Girls was every school should have perimeter fencing, and there should also be a personnel on site, like a security personnel. But if you go around most schools today, most of those policies, they've been made. The policies were good, right? The government is good at making policies, right? We make these policies that would better the
So,
nation, better its citizens. But then the policies are not being implemented, right? So everybody along the value chain has its own responsibility to collect.
okay, thank you. Mr. Professor, let's hear your take on this.
Yes, sir. Immediately my name was called. The word unfortunately came to my head. So I said, no, no more unfortunate again during this call. I'm not going to say unfortunately again. I would think that the government has the primary responsibility. The execution, like Wisdom
Okay,
mentioned, is
principal.
another thing. But the government has it's almost like marriage. The man has the primary responsibility to provide. It does not mean he's always going to be the richest, but it is your responsibility. So the execution, you have to think about it. I like the idea of an SBMC. I actually learned of it quite recently, less than a year ago. And I was like, this is such a fantastic idea. But less than a year ago, Chibok had already happened almost a decade now.
Less
So
than a
that
year ago, 200 has already happened
yes, so that means that there must be something wrong with and more have been
with the
happening, over
SBMC.
100 instances, like we now know. So I
Mm.
believe that if government is serious, I believe that anything that government is serious about will get done. If government is serious about politics and re-election to get done, if government is serious about stopping cases of kidnapping, etc., that's my personal belief. So
Okay,
while
so
everybody has their contribution in the value chain, because the responsibility to safeguard lives is on government, it's government that will tell us that SBMC, you guys are getting paid, but what are the the operating procedures that they've put on the ground for the SBMC to carry out, so that the SBMC even knows that if XYZ doesn't happen, there's a problem. What are those intelligent procedures and steps? Which is why I'm super excited for whoever is going to be from the SBMC that will join us today.
okay, yeah, that's awesome. What did I do? That's awesome. So okay, let's continue. So now Wisdom, you raised an issue that is of interest to me. You said that there are policies, but the policies are not being implemented. I'm privileged to know that Nigeria is a signatory to the Safe School, and
Yeah.
a huge sum of money was budgeted for in the Safe School initiative. I'm also privileged to know that SBMC are supposed to ensure that all schools are gated and they are fenced. I mean, and they have a fence and they have a gate. And unfortunately, I know that over 80% of schools don't have that facility. I'm also privileged to know that millions of Nigerian youth are on Facebook, are on Twitter, and they're not calling government to accountability. They are not asking government to say what they have to do. So what do you have to say to this? What is the responsibility of the citizens to call government to account so that they can do the things that we all want them to do? So that it's not only when something terrible happens that we will now say, where is our government? Wisdom.
Yes, sir. So, we were talking about the protest that almost happened and didn't happen today, and a part of the state was put on lockdown, right? And I feel like we have a proactive culture. No, it's a reactive culture rather than a proactive culture. So we respond more to incidences and news circle and things happening than having a long-term goal towards solving a particular problem. Because at the end of the day, agendas would always change. And this is where it now rests on civil society group and activism group to sort of take it upon themselves to constantly put it on the face of the politicians, the senators, the lawmakers, and all of them. Because I learned something recently that during I think this was when racism was at its peak in one of the states in the US. I don't particularly know the details, but the story goes like this. Then you could not sit in a bus if you were a white person. No, the white people had to sit first. Then, if there is no seat for them, they can ask the black people to stand up. And one lady decided not to when she was asked to stand up. And what happened was for the next 2 years, all the blacks boycotted the public system. So that tells you the intent of staying power. So it took 2 years for their boycott to actually take effect. So, and recently on social media, you've seen people say, oh, we're celebrating Children's Day and children have been kidnapped. We're doing this festival and children have been kidnapped. We're doing this, we're doing that. The truth is, Nigeria has this mentality that life will go on, right? Oh, sorry, it's quite unfortunate. Like Louis said, it's quite unfortunate, but everybody moves on with their life. Like, oh, we'll find a way around it. And this has sort of continued to be the norm. We've only had very few cases where we were able to stay true to a cause, right? And that's where the problem comes from, is we don't have the staying power as citizens to actively chase reforms that we want. Because Louis said something that's very important. Whatever the government focuses on, they would achieve it. we've had insecurity in this country for decades, but every election cycle, we conduct elections. Elections go on as planned, right? Elections go on as planned, and a lot of other things too. So you would now wonder, oh, is it that during the time of election, we suddenly have peace and security, and all the politicians can go to their constituency and cast vote, and they're not being kidnapped, nothing is happening. So what's going on, right? So if during election time we can guarantee these things happening, why can't we guarantee it every single time? And it's something that we need to constantly look at and take priority over, because if we don't continue to stay like on the matter, like, see, this thing is an issue, like it is a pandemic, we need to solve it, it's not going to be paid attention to. The government
So
would focus on what's
you said it is a pandemic. So Louis, let's
it's
begin to think of solutions.
yeah, it is a pandemic, honestly, because um we also raised the points. We have an education system that, in short, scrap the education system. We have a culture where, for the fact that as we are in Nigeria in this current age and time, we still see children hawking food along the streets. It's an embarrassment to the state. It's an embarrassment to us as a people that we still encourage this sort of behavior. Yes, there are different arguments that will go, "Oh, how would they feed? How would they do?" These are things that their counterparts in the US, the UK, Canada, Australia don't even have as a reality. There are things that they don't even bother about, because they have leaders that are prioritizing and speaking for them. Sadly and
So you are
unfortunately, we don't.
brother Wisdom, you are saying that our leaders are not prioritizing right.
I don't think they are taking the children seriously. I honestly don't think they are at this point in time.
But
I don't think.
what would you consider as the problem why they are not taking the children seriously, and we keep voting for them, brother Louis? Well, let's begin to think of solution. Let's begin to think of solutions. Okay,
All
if
right,
our
sir.
leader, yeah,
Yes,
this
I will allow you finish your thoughts, sir.
this kidnapping, this is the fourth regime. We saw small during Obasanjo, we saw it during Goodluck, and then we saw a little bit more. During
During
Yaradua,
Buhari.
sorry, we saw it
Yeah.
during Goodluck. Then we saw it expand during Goodluck Jonathan. That was when, it was strange to carry away almost 300 children in Chibok,
Yeah.
and then there was so much noise, and everybody was embarrassed. And then we thought that was all, and then we saw it more. Whereas during the Goodluck Jonathan, we had a small but mighty kidnapping. One kidnap take 300 away, but during Buhari, we saw it everywhere. It migrated from the northeast to the north central, from north central to north west, to southwest to the southeast. And now, in southwest, who would ever think that people will be kidnapped in Oyo State, for crying out loud? Now, it's everywhere. It's everywhere. It has gone to churches, it has gone to mosques, it has gone to the market, it has gone to the streets. And then, but the key one is it's affecting our children. And as much as we are trying to promote and market school and education, these kidnappers are trying to demarket the future of Nigeria. So, Brother Louis, tell me, who do you think, what is the solution here? Not who to blame. What's the solution? What's the solution?
Absolutely. I think that we can pick a dozen different areas where the solution can come from. But let's just highlight a few. I'm sure Wisdom will have a few. I'm sure you, sir, you also have a few to share with us so that we can all be enlightened. For me, the first one would be just that general political will, but not from the government side, from everybody. Because if you say what's the population of people in government, to people that exist in the country, it will favor those that exist. If people don't or cannot understand how uneducated children will negatively impact their future, it's going to be a very difficult sell. But there needs to be that enlightenment, so to speak. I personally, myself, not anybody else, has something that looks like a conspiracy theory that if I ever had an opportunity and of course the will to lead the National Orientation Agency, I will work hand in hand with the current media industry, the music that we listen to, the movies that we watch, to impute some nice or some intelligent characteristics into the Nigerian public through these mediums. So, for example, if I wanted us to be more interested in education, I will say Odumodu Black. If you mention three important things about education in your song, I have 20 million naira for you. P Square, if you do a dance about education, I have 20 million naira for you. Emeka Ike, if you are going to do a movie and you center it around the theme of education, I have 20 million naira for you, etc. So forth. So slowly but surely introducing the idea, because that's how cultures are shaped. So if you increase the awareness of the people through the medium that they are already familiar with, and we're already doing it, we already do propaganda online. When a brand wants to push a certain narrative to sell more, they hire influencers. They say, we're already doing it. So let's now do it for the good of the society, right? Push it, make it subtle. You don't have to, I'm not talking about running ads. I'm just talking about incentivizing people to talk about things that will slowly
Social
shift the
engineering.
consciousness. Social engineering, but it's not from me and you that we didn't say it. And if they say we said it, we'll deny it. But yes, social engineering is basically what it is. That's one of the first things that I think is a solution. The second thing is it will interest us to know that I listened to a podcast sometime. There is no African, or let's narrow it down, Nigerian language that directly translates the meaning of maintenance. So I'm not talking of take care of. I'm not talking of repair. Maintenance. That is something isn't bad yet, but you need to keep doing one or two things to make sure that it doesn't get bad. African languages do not capture the concept of maintenance. I'm happy for anybody to disprove me that in Hausa or in Bagi or in Isoko or in Bayelsa or in Ijo, this is the word assigned to maintenance. It doesn't exist. So that means that I'm not going to say unfortunately. That means that innately we have we have a collective responsibility to understand, because I want to tie it back to SBMCs. It's such a good idea, it's such a fantastic idea. I think it just needs to work better. So when we talk about the SBMC, I suspect, I postulate, I'm not on ground, I don't know. If we have a proper maintenance culture around the way that they carry out their operations. So, for example, now simple things like there needs to be a fence. So SBMC comes and sees that there's no fence. Why is there no fence? XYZ, report directly. It's really that straightforward. It's not about you're not doing your work. Now you didn't put fence, we are going to reduce your. There is no fence. Now let's sit down and solve the issue. So it's small by small. If they can have a proper structure within which they can operate without fear of people coming to tell them that they are overdoing or something like that. Then lastly, I would just say that there is this thing called Freedom of Information Act. It ties back to my first point. Generally speaking, we are supposed to be curious enough, because I'm ashamed of myself. I'm just knowing about SBMCs. It's quite simple, but it's been existing. It's not a new concept. It's because we don't want to know. If they don't feed it to us via Business Day or Arise or something, we won't know. So we have platforms like this platform that we're currently on now, giving us that idea that this is what is happening in the country. Nigerians don't do their own research. We don't. But this act actually guides us to say, or go to any parastatal or public enterprise to say, I want to know how many schools are available in this area and how many of them have fences. If somebody or a group of people make this kind of request and use the backing of the Freedom of Information Act, even if SBMC or whoever were not doing their work before, now the civilians want to know how many what's the percentage of the schools without fences? So even if you were not doing it before, now you are forced to go and do it. You know, it is through collective awake, like we all awake consciously, or we are all awake consciously, either through reorientation or through social engineering or through activism or whatever route we want to take. One, two, set the systems that the already existing policies can work inside easily. Don't set a policy that is difficult or that is going to make it easy for somebody to witch hunt another person. Something that is easy and free, everybody can see it, that, oh, this is it. Oh, it's like video camera. If you entered inside, it will capture you. If you did not enter inside, it will capture you. So if the question is, did you go or did you not go, we will all watch it and see it and know, which is why I think VAR, video assistant referee, is one of the best things that has happened to football. We all watched it. We saw it. The referee may cheat you, but we all
I
saw
like
it.
as you are smiling. I like as you are smiling. We know why you are smiling, but no problem.
So,
Let's not digress.
so those are my 3 key points. But I'm excited to hear additional contributions from the rest
Okay.
of us.
Thank you, Mr. Louis. Wisdom will tell us why he's smiling in a bit.
Because me, I don't understand.
Because
I don't know what
the
he's smiling.
Nigeria is not smiling at all. Even when he's smiling, you can see that he's trying to force this man.
Just
Because
pause my yes.
we need to stone face it. It doesn't change the narrative. The children are still in captivity. We need to get them out. So stone face, smile, do anything you like to do, and we need to stop this errant nonsense in this country. So, wisdom. I like to you see. Louis raised some major issues around changing the mindset of the people, changing the narrative, changing the social psyche of the citizenry through various means. I'm just wondering, what is your point? What's your take on that? I know you're a media guy, so what's your take on that?
So yeah, so the National Orientation Agency has a lot of work to do, right? Because like Louis rightly said, a lot of social reconstruction and realignment is needed because the average Nigerian is not, for lack of a better word, I don't see the average Nigerian as patriotic. What do I mean? Like there's no desire to I pledge allegiance to the flag, or oh, Nigeria is my country. Oh, there's so much to do. We don't have that. If you pick the average young person now, right, that gone to school or has a job or is just trying to start life, and you give the person the option to japa, 11 times out of 10 they would pick japa because we've been sold the dreams of other nations effectively. Well, if you watch American movies, you will see how they project, oh, the police, the army, the first responders. There is no movie you watch that you don't hear them talk about 911, how you either they show it how it happens or how it works. These are not things that are done by chance. They are intentional things that are done by the orientation agency. Or if you're shooting a movie about this country, you have to project us in this light, right? And it goes beyond that too. So even just after the social engineering or influencing these characters, do they work? We have a national emergency number 122/112, right? That is being powered by the National Communications Agent NCC, right? But it will surprise you to know that a whole chunk of Nigerians don't even know it exists. And the ones that do know it exists, they call to ask for ridiculous things. So I was able to have conversations with them a while back, and you will discover that some of the calls they get are prank calls. You're supposed to call for an emergency, and somebody is calling to ask, can I get a wife? Somebody is calling, oh, as I am like this now, I'm bored. I'm looking for I'm looking for who to talk to. These are the kind of calls that the national emergency number gets on a daily basis. So what that means is the government has done its part by providing a national emergency number, but the citizens are now not using it for what it's supposed to be used for. Louis said something, how we don't have maintenance culture in our dialect. We also don't have corruption. in our dialect, but it is also very predominant. So apparently, the things that we don't have are things that are currently predominant, and these are things that we need to constantly fix, because the average Nigerian does not have the mindset of, oh, if there's an emergency, who do I call? If you take a survey, right, and say in an emergency, who do you call? The top 5 people there are not the national emergency number. You either see, oh, my pastor, my spouse, my friend, or my significant other. These are the people that they call in cases of emergency that may not even be able to offer help or assistance whatsoever. So it goes beyond just it's a total framework. When we are on one hand trying to influence culture and influence the social norms, we should also ensure that there is the framework, there's the backbone to ensure that these things also work. Because the argument we had then with the NCC was, we were like, oh, let's take out time to educate people on it. And the NCC raised a very important comment. He said, if we publicize it on the scale we want to, they are not sure that the first responders, so the police, the fire service, the road safety, can adequately respond to the scale at which Nigerians will use it, right? So that also means that we have a personnel problem. So there are different gaps at the various chains that we need a complete overhaul, but it needs to be systematically done over time. It's not something that we can just wake up and wish
So
away. We have to be
we
intentional about it. Yes, sir.
we need a complete overhaul, and Nigeria is 66 years old. At what point
Yeah.
are we going to start the overhaul? I mean, if your car knock engine and you need overhaul, they will start fixing it. You don't just sit
Yeah.
down and say we need a complete overhaul, and then the tire
The
puncture, and then you need
the
overhaul and the body rust, and then you need
the
overhaul
problem
the everything dead. No,
I think one
you
of
see,
the yeah
yeah.
I think one of the problems we have as a nation is lack of continuity. So I'm 32, so I've seen a transition of government, at least from Obasanjo. I could reason. So I have seen different presidents come in since the president Obasanjo, Yaradua, Goodluck, Buhari, and now Tinubu. What has been consistent among all of them is everybody comes in with his own agenda. So we don't have a national agenda and a national blueprint that we follow. And that's why it always looks like at every transition of government, we're always starting afresh. It's sad to note that the projects that were started by the past administrations, the problems that we have with the someone just said I'm speaking English, I should go and join NDC. Well, the problem we have is lack of continuity, right? Everybody comes in with their own PowerPoint agenda, like, oh, this is what I would do to change the nation, this is what I would do to change. So the other people that have been working, all of a sudden those things become not important, not relevant again. And that's why we've not been able to achieve one thing that we say, oh, in the past how many years of democracy, we've been able to achieve, oh, constant power, or we've been able to achieve good education, or we've been able to achieve this, because it's always scattered efforts. We do this one, we stop halfway, we do this one, we stop. Now imagine a scenario where during Obasanjo's time, we focused on healthcare, and all we did was healthcare. And we know that, oh, the next 8 years we're going to focus on, let's say we're going to focus on schools. And for the next 8 years, we focus on schools, and that is working. And for the next 8 years, we focus on power. So, you know what? We're going to focus on power. And that's how we are able to achieve something. And because of that, it feels like every time, like you said, it feels like, oh, we fix the engine, the tire will burst, we fix it, because there is no continuity. We're more reacting to the problems than being proactive. I think it China, or yeah, it was China that had a 100-year plan to get them to where they are now. We don't have that. We don't have longevity when it comes to planning. We don't have that longevity when it comes to execution. It's always the next election cycle or this cycle and all of that. And that's really where the problem is we need legislation that would back continuity, long-term development goals that are not partisan. Because what we practice now is partisan, right? Oh, this party is in power, they do the
But
things that,
can,
yeah.
can I interrupt there, please?
Yes,
Now,
yes, sir.
there are three or four stakeholders, because we are focusing on school security and safety, because that is the kitchen where we are producing the leaders of tomorrow.
True.
Now, for me here, the government may come and go, but I see two actors that are not how do you call it, that are completely isolated and insulated from this change. The communities. What happens to the communities? The communities are not supposed to change like weather. Even if there's a change of government in Abuja, my community should remain my community. And the interest of my community to ensure that the children of the community goes to school and that the children of the community are not kidnapped should not be compromised by a change of government. And the SBMC are supposed to be people within the community. And within the community are responsible, respectable, influential people who can finance some of these projects that we are talking about. You know, I travel a lot, and I was in Australia. I saw school fenced. I was in US. I saw school fenced. Everywhere I have been to in the world, I've always seen school fenced or at least demarcated. I have seen the perimeter of schools cleared with a lawn. You know, in Australia, they have more animals than human beings, more kangaroo than human beings, and the kangaroo come and play with the students in the school. But they cleared the perimeter such that if a kangaroo is coming 50 meters away, you would have seen the kangaroo, and you make up your mind if you want to run or you want to wait. But here in Nigeria, you will see the school and the bush, they are competing. You don't know where the fence starts. You don't even know where the school starts. And so it is usual to just get into the classroom and see snake or see, not even kidnappers this time around. And then it is usual to see villagers passing within the school, crossing the school to somewhere else. You can't even know who is a kidnapper, who is a visitor, who is a parent in so many schools that I've visited. And I'm just wondering, when are we going to stop blaming everybody or somebody and then we're going to get something done? Louis, can you think of,
Yes,
we're rounding up this session. Can you think of, you're just smiling.
I'm trying my best. It's quite embarrassing, sir. I can tell you for free. You know, I absolutely.
So who is embarrassed? Who is embarrassed?
Me. I'm embarrassed because
all right.
Very soon now, by God's special grace, maybe I'm able to travel somewhere. It's green passport I have. They'll say you're in Nigeria, okay, that place where they kidnap children, where their schools don't have fence, etc. So I'm embarrassed. And but let's quickly move to solution. I think that it's a very key point that the SBMC and the community are not part. Outside reorientating or re-engineering them to understand that education is actually a critical part of their survival. I'm not even talking about, let's boast that we have some of the largest number of PhD holders in our village. I'm talking about if there are no educated people in our village, in the next 2 decades, we will be wiped out, either by other people that will come and buy us out because we can't feed ourselves, or because we all starve to death. We will be wiped out, that kind of thing. So we need to find what are these, ways that we can pass this information down. I want to make a humble example of my own village, which I have been to all of maybe 10 times in my whole life. when I go to my village, every time that I'm opportune to go to my village, normally they say if you visit somewhere, the graph is supposed to be going up. It's the opposite. And when I see that happen, the first thought that comes to my mind is, let's do something. Let's put more money into their pockets. Let's build an industry. Let's do this one. Those that had the same kind of idea that I had and had gone there and had tried that, it's a different kind of tatashe that they saw as pepper in their eye. And you begin to wonder, when you are fighting for Nigerians, it's Nigerians that will be fighting you. That thing, that's the reason why it's like that is because of the education. It's a chicken and egg situation. What is the route? I'd see two. One, the orientation that I spoke about, more or less manipulate them into understanding you will die if you don't get educated. Two, consequence for action, also known as force. I'm sorry to blatantly say it like that.
Oh no, force is required.
As a community leader, you have a certain level of exposure. The OV of my town is properly educated. I'm sure he has traveled, so he knows what is obtainable. The same way with most of our leaders, they need to step up and use some kind of endearment or force or a union, because it's at survival mode now. If the SBMC in a particular community are maybe dragging their feet or are somehow disadvantaged, it should be the work of the community leader to say, whether there's a Jonathan or there's a Buhari or there's a Tinubu, the community that we stay in will either grow or not. As long as I'm the OP of this town, I should be able to filter what is good for my people, what is bad, and find a way to quote and unquote, to force it or endear it upon them for them to be able to have it. So if we can start with educating or reaching out to these community leaders, I think in addition to all the other things, might be a veritable way of helping them know that their survival is really in their hands through education.
Oh, okay, wisdom. Closing shot. What do you think we can do to our communities and our SBMC?
I think I'm just going to take off from where Louis stopped. Enforcement, right? I know he was trying to be a bit political or liberal about it.
A bit political, okay.
but enforcement is needed. And I'll share an example. Today when we talk about governors that are performing, we talk about Alex Oti and we praise him and all of those things. But something happened when he took office. There was a road that was supposed to be done. I think it was between the Port Harcourt and Aba Express. So that road, it had been bad for a long time. So he was about to do it. So when the contractors went there, the youths in the community stopped them and said they are supposed to settle them, right? So he did something that was very interesting. He said, okay, they should charter a bus and come to government house so that he can settle them, which is normal. If you're in the south, you will understand this. There's always something when you go to a community to either install transformer or something that they need. They will block you and say you need to settle them and all of those things. So he invited them to come to government house, and as soon as they got there, he locked all of them up. That sent a very clear message that I'm not here to play. I'm trying to help you, and you're trying to block what is coming. You would get punished for it. So Nigerians, we understand enforcement. When things are being enforced, we understand it, because on a normal day, we can be driving, and if there's no road safety, we'll beat traffic. But the moment we cite them, everybody now understands that, if I'm caught, this is that. So it's not like we don't know. We just need to constantly be enforced. And I think that is a very, very, very bad mindset, because it just shows that we are at a stage where we need to be constantly caned to do the right thing. Right. So enforcement needs to, aside from the government dishing out policies that are beneficial, we need to start looking at ways to enforce these policies and ensure that both the SBMC, both the stakeholders, both the community, because Doctor said something earlier that the communities have not changed even though even though the government changes, the communities have not changed. But you would realize that yes, the community has not changed, but there was no proper transition into what the community was doing. So let's say, for example, in the community we agreed that, oh, they are supposed to be doing this, we're supposed to be doing that. And then the new local government chairman comes in and he's focused on something completely different. A lot of times we don't stand our ground, which is also the enforcement we're talking about. So if there are legislations that back continuity, right? So it's not just one layer attack. We need legislations that will back continuity. We need an enforcement system that will ensure that these policies that are being made are constantly being enforced on a regular basis, and there are ways to check and ensure that nobody's slipping off. And then we need the stakeholders to buy in. So the communities have to also be carried along to know that, you need this thing better than us. So we were not here with you. We're in Abuja, we are safe. You that is in the community, you need this to get done. And all of this. I think that if we consciously work on all of these things, we would head in the right direction.
Okay, thank you, Wisdom. It's been awesome engaging all of us for the past 1 hour. Now, I'm going to give us one minute each to say what is our takeaway from this conversation. I think for me, the major takeaway is that we need a new national orientation, because the kidnapper lives amongst us. Most of the kidnappers live within our communities, and we see them. We go to the same market as they go. The government has been, to say the least, not very responsible. They have failed in their responsibility. Like I said earlier on, this is the first of the 6 series in dealing with this topic. For me, from this conversation, my takeaway is that we are going to form a youth coalition to tell everybody that cares to listen that it is time to take back Nigeria. It is back to take back our communities. It is back to speak up. Let's rebuild this country to what we desire it to be. Unfortunately, I'm not the youth again. But those of you that you are younger, the ball is in your court. So, Brother Louis, what do you hope to see in the Nigeria of your dream?
Absolutely, the ball is in my court.
Smiling.
Because I'm thinking of the Nigeria of my dream. It's a very positive picture. I just hope that we can do one thing, and that one thing is recreate the Nigeria of our dream. Recreate a brand, not recreate, construct a brand that can make Nigerians proud to be Nigerian. And sir, I mean, with the very excellent work that you do at both Axite and Life Builders level, you would see that some of the things that you're currently focusing on is active work for, people, because children that have been out of school, they've been out of school for almost 18, 20 years. So now they're difficult for them to go back to school. You're introducing something that can help, which is our sporting, activities. And I personally think when you talk about Nigeria on the educational space, we already have it. Look at our guys that are American bred or British bred or etc. So the brain is not the problem. When you talk about athletics, we are there. Look at our guys that are playing for big clubs in Europe, our guys that are swimming, our guys that are running. So we have it, it's in our genes. You talk about entertainment, we are there. So if you talk about agric, we are also there in terms of having the natural resources, but utilizing. So the Nigeria of my own dream would be to create an image that people can look up to say, we've had so much stress in the past, but because the future is looking this bright, I want to be part, of this Nigerian project. Whereas we can say in 100 years' time, there is no child that will not be educated. And then Enwe community can now say, they've given us 100 years to reach this goal. We want to reach it in 50 years. Wisdom's village community can say, they've given us 100 years to reach this goal. We want to do it in 5 years. Somebody else's community can say they've given us 100 years, we are going to take our time, we are prioritizing money. But by 99 years, we would have achieved it. So we can have that global vision that individual communities can tie into. And I think that by the time we're able to stop some of these things like insecurity, get our children back to school, we can have that bigger, grander vision that all of us can be happy about and pursue.
Thank you. Thank you. Wisdom, what is
Yes,
your
sir.
dream? Your dream for Nigeria? Let us hear it.
So I
The
have
Nigeria of your
a
dream.
short. The Nigeria of my
2
dream.
years
Yeah, it
ago.
has. So the Nigeria of my dream is more or less like when they refer to us as the giant of Africa, it's not as because we are Twitter warriors or because we know how to bully every other nation on the internet. It's simply because they should look at us and be like, when it comes to infrastructure, these guys have been able to do things that are outlandish. They've been able to make advancements in medicine. And like Louis rightly said, it's not like the brain is not there because same Nigerians go abroad and they do amazing things. It will surprise, well, it will surprise you to know that a lot of medical directors in some of the big hospitals in the Obodo Ibo are actually Nigerians, right? They are doing outlandishly well. They are doing very, very, very well. And the problem is we lack the ecosystem to be able to sort of solve this problem because even down to entertainment, we've seen young Nigerians export their talents to the global stage, winning Grammys and whatnot. So the Nigeria of our dreams is actually possible. We just need to lay out a framework that we can all follow and we can all buy into. And to be honest, we can't continue like that if we don't have a national agenda, right? If we continue with the partisan system that we're currently running, we won't be able to achieve the Nigeria of our dreams. Honestly, we all have to collectively come together and have an accord and be like, in the next 100 years, be it APC, PDP, NDC, even Wisdom Party that comes into power, we are all working towards this. So the conversation now becomes how do my party running an election achieve XYZ? Or how does Louis' party that is coming in for the next election, these guys, they've done this, they've done this. We want to do this, we want to do this, and we want to move ahead. And I feel like continuity and legislation-backed continuity is the way forward for us. Have a plan, a decade plan, a centurion plan, a 100-year plan, and say, this is where we want to see ourselves in 100 years. And these are the positive steps for us to make to get there. And I mean, there's nothing that if we set our hearts to do, we wouldn't honestly achieve it. And I do believe in the Nigerian dream. I do believe that Nigeria can be great. Yes.
Thank you very much, Nicholas Wisdom and Louis Akobeso. It's been an interesting 1 hour engaging with you. My takeaway from this meeting is there is a Nigeria of my children's dream. I believe in Nigeria. I've always done. We have rocked Nigeria well. Still have plenty more time to spend around here. We're not in a hurry to get away here. However, I believe that Nigeria belongs to the youth. And so make it well so that you will not say there was a better many years back. And like Professor Wole Soyinka once said, my generation was a wasted generation. My generation was not a wasted generation. And even if it wants to be, I will work at it to make sure it is not wasted. But please, Nigerian youth, the ball is in your court. Don't make this country go down. No matter what the old politician does, Nigeria belongs to every one of us. Make your contribution to make Nigeria great again. Let's stop this insecurity. Let every one of us work assiduously in every nook and cranny of Nigeria to contribute, to gather, to harness resources in our nooks and crannies to make Nigeria a place that everyone will be proud of. Those children that are kidnapped, they are languishing. They are praying. They are asking, is anybody home? The government, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is anybody home? Governor Sheyi Makinde, is anybody home? The 36 state government, is anybody home? Nigerians, is anybody home? My name is Dr. Samuel Latuji David. I'm your host tonight. And I sign out, hoping that our takeaway will be that it's Nigeria that we all dream of. And God, by his mercy, will take us there. This is Vox Edu TV in partnership with Axite. Good night.
Good night, sir. Thank you so much.
Good night.